My name is John Lewis. I'm the managing editor of the Acorn newspapers. This is Kyle Jordan, who's editor of the Thousand Oaks Acorn, and we are pleased to host this forum for Assembly candidates and our congressional candidates, along with CLU. And again, our thanks to CLU and Herb Gooch, political science professor, for allowing us to use this great room. It's worked out very well. So, speaking over from Assembly, thank you for hanging around. If you're just coming aboard for congressional questions, we want to welcome you. Candidates, just a couple of quick ground rules. You've been seated left to right in alphabetical order. It's our scientific order by alphabet, is the way we're doing it. So anyway, each candidate will have a chance to go first as we progress through the questions, and everybody will have their shot. The opening statements will be 1 minute. And then we'll begin with our question segment, and we'll have a minute 30 for each response. We're doing something a little bit different, and some of the candidates said they loved it. We want to ask each of you individual questions as well, and we'll do that at the end of the program. But let me back up, and as we ask our general questions, we are going to open the floor for rebuttal. So at the end of 3 answers, if anybody wants to chime in with some additional information or to refute something that somebody said, we'll allow time for that. So 1 rebuttal per question per candidate. And once again, introduce Dan Wolowitz, the editor of the Camarillo and Moore Park Acorn. Dan, you want to stand up? Dan is the man with the traffic light there, and he's going to give the candidates a green light, 30 seconds, a yellow light for 15 seconds, and then the red card asking them to stop. So candidates, keep your eye on Dan here. So everybody's seated. Let's go ahead and get underway. Let me introduce the candidates first of all. From your left, businessman, former Marine, Los Angeles Police Department officer. He's a Republican candidate for the 26th Congress, Rafael Dagnesis, everybody. Two-term state assembly member, U.S. Naval officer, and veteran Republican candidates. He's from Camarillo, and he's Jeff Gorell, running for Congress. Jeff. And also in the field for the primary is Pepperdine law professor and independent by declaration. He is Douglas Connect. Douglas, thank you for being with us today. All right, let's begin with you, Rafael, for your opening comments, and you have 1 minute. Go ahead.
Thank you. 43 years ago, my family and I left the tyranny of communist Cuba and landed in this great nation. Today, I consider myself a born-again American. I grew up in the inner city, and I was witness to the social cancer of gangs, drugs, and violence, and what generational government dependency does to families and communities. I've served my country as a United States Marine Gunnery Sergeant. I've been a law enforcement officer for over 12 years with a background in gangs and undercover narcotics. I've been an entrepreneur and a business owner for over 15 years, with both failures and successes. I've gone broke 2 times. I did not declare bankruptcy. I took responsibility for my own actions, then working 12, 14 hours until I recovered. Today, my company average sales exceed $175 million per year. I want to inspire, not blame, showing others that government is not the answer. The answer is within us.
Thank you. My name is Jeff Gorell. I'm a California State Assembly member representing this community for almost 4 years now. I live in Camarillo with my wife Laura, my daughter Ashley, my son Jack, and my brand new baby boy Steven, our 2 dogs, Benny and Charlie. I've also had an opportunity to serve in other capacities in this community. I'm the faculty here at Cal Lutheran University, where I've taught since 2006. I served as a deputy district attorney for Ventura County, a prosecutor, prosecuting the most violent and dangerous of gang members and traffickers of narcotics. I've also had an opportunity to be a small business person and be an advocate in the community to inspire others for entrepreneurialism and to support small business. So in many ways, I've been very involved in this community for very many years. It's a true honor to represent you in Sacramento. But I want to take the skill sets that I've put together, the leadership, the ability to unite the community, and take that what I've learned in Sacramento and take that to Washington, D.C., where we have gridlock, where we have failed government, where we have big government policies. And I'm hoping to earn your support and endorsement today.
My name is Doug Mack. I'm a teacher. I have had the privilege of serving 3 presidents, 2 of them Republican and current incumbent. Ronald Reagan used to say this often, that the 3 most important words in the Constitution are the first 3 words. And that's really why I'm running. Because we have 3 interlocking problems. First, we have an economic system that is very fragile at the moment, large amounts of unemployment and underemployment. And it's because we have a tax system that is no longer progressive, but instead has deprived the middle class, the average working man, of a family wage. No matter how hard you run on that treadmill, it's going faster. And the second is that our Supreme Court has made some serious jurisprudential errors, and they've made public office the province of the rich. They've made running for office a $1 million plus proposition. As you know, I've decided to run without that.
Thank you, Douglas. We appreciate it. We do want to thank you. We do now general questioning, and we'll start left to right, from Building Nessus. Candidates, a recent executive order by President Obama encourages equal pay for the 26 million women who work in federal government-related jobs. Do you support a similar directive for the private sector? Action that could potentially force private employers to provide equal pay for men and women in the same jobs. So equal pay men and women in the private sector. We'll begin with you, Ron.
I believe that employers determine what the wage is for their employees. I come from 2 different sectors. I've worked in the public sector as a policeman. I was a member of a union, and later in life, starting several companies and businesses where I determined the payment of my employees. Not all employees are equal. Gender apart, I've had females in my staff that are 6-figure employees, and I've had men working for me complaining that they were not making enough money as my female employees. So the bottom line is that you're never going to make everyone happy because someone is always going to complain. I don't want government interference into the private sector, period. When I was a law enforcement officer, there were many officers that were just collecting a check, their bi-weekly check, while others were risking their lives every day. Not everything is equal in life. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. I'm a 3rd-generation naval officer. I've served 14 and a half years in the United States Navy, and it's a very progressive institution. It's an institution that was first to integrate. It's an institution that provides equal pay for equal work. It doesn't matter if you're a man or a woman. If you're wearing the rank and the rate, you get the same pay as the person sitting next to you, or in the foxhole next to you, or on the ship with you. And so, do I support equal pay for equal work as a principle? Absolutely, I do. And when there's a clear discrimination for gender, I think it should be weeded out. And we should have flexibility for our free marketplace, for employers to have the flexibility to find the right person, plug that right person in, and pay that person accordingly. And we need to ensure that the flexibility remains in that marketplace.
Thank you, Minister. Connect.
Gender equality is an absolute requirement, but it's not absolute. I have 5 children, 2 are boys, 3 are girls. I have watched the opportunities that have been made available to the young men, and I've watched the opportunities available to the young women. I have done this not only as a father, but as a teacher in the classroom. And there's no question but that the opportunities made available to women are fewer in number and more difficult to achieve. And one of the reasons that's the case is because we rely upon them to provide the stability of family. And yet, workplace after So one of the things that's necessary to achieve true gender equality is recognition of the contribution of a woman, not just to the workplace, but to the home, and to make sure that she is not shortchanged, and that our culture is strengthened by the first element of civilization, which is the family.
Thank you. We did extend an invitation to the incumbent, Julia Brownlee. She declined to attend. Kyle, second question.
Okay. Second question, we'll start with you, Jeff. Love it, hate it, or indifferent, the Affordable Care Act apparently is here to stay. Now national attention seems to be turning to skyrocketing costs of healthcare. What can you do on Capitol Hill to bring our country's out-of-control medical costs back under control?
Thank you. The number one call that I get to my office, to my constituent affairs team, is people complaining about their skyrocketing costs. The fact that they have a health care plan that is now costing them 100%, 50%, 200%, 400% more than it cost them last year. People are getting bumped off their plans. Their plans are being canceled. They're being separated from their doctor, the doctor that has been with them and their family their entire lives. So I feel it's imperative for me to assure this community that I agree with them that the ACA is a broken model. And if I had the opportunity to vote against it, to repeal it, I would do so. But I don't know that that is an option at this point. What I am committed to doing is, like I've been in Sacramento, I'm committed to putting myself and making sure that I'm at the table to reform the ACA, to ensure that we can create a marketplace that brings down costs, to create competitiveness across state lines. We need to have some tort reform to avoid the increasing costs of medical care. There's a number of things we can do to help working class families. The ACA is a broken model, but we need to fix it, and I'm committed to working on it. I'm committed to doing so in a bipartisan fashion.
Thank you, Jeff.
The President deserves enormous credit for taking on one of the most difficult questions confronting our nation. When I was in Europe, with the privilege of being your ambassador, the number one question I received was, how is it that this country that we look up to, this fantastic place that has always been the model for us, does not provide for the health and well-being of its own citizens? The President made a compromise. The compromise was to put insurance at the centerpiece of the reform. That is where I believe our focus now has to be, to make sure that that is, in fact, the most cost-effective way to deliver health care. But you know, it's not just cost-effectiveness, it's quality of care. And that's why the reforms that are going to be needed are going to be led by doctors and nurses and health professionals, because as I went out into the community and met with them for purposes of running this campaign, more often than not, the frustration I heard was with the bureaucracy of the health insurance process, with the fact that so many unnecessary tests are buried within the system for purposes of achieving profitability. And not enough attention is devoted to the success rates of medical diagnosis and accessibility and determination of what makes a good program. We can make it work, we will make it work.
Yes. First, the Affordable Care Act, that name should really be changed. It should be called the Unaffordable Care Act. I will not go to Washington to discuss fixing the Unaffordable Care Act. I will go to Washington and join those who will fight to repeal the Unaffordable Care Act. We do not need some tort reform. We need absolute tort reform. I believe the insurance companies and the government got together in this deal, and they're making a lot of money.
Exactly.
We need to force our government and the insurance companies to break those barriers across state lines and force them to negotiate and let the market bring that price down. I have a dear friend, an avid Obama supporter, that just recently, weeks ago, got his bill. And like Jeff said, he's talking about percentages. His deductible went from $2,000 to $10,000. His premium went from $600 to $1,200. He's not a very happy camper right now. It's not about going to Washington and fixing that. That reason alone, we have to repeal it. Period. Thank you.
I think sending another group of people back to Washington to have another 50 or 60 opportunities to repeal the Affordable Care Act is not an opportunity for it's diverting us from the essential problem. If you've ever been, as many of us unavoidably can,